Saturday morning. I'm just about to run out and run some errands with my mum. Oh, my neighbour's just started their very loud car up. Hopefully you can't hear that. It is a little bit windy today, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the stadium. But yeah, it's also a little bit cooler, so again, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So after I run the errands with mum, I'll just do some stride throughs, some drills and a few stretches just to sort of loosen up the body. And yeah, then I'll have something small for lunch and we'll head off. Running. It's really windy, as you can probably hear, like crazy windy. There was a 2.4 headwind in my 100, so I didn't run as fast as I wanted, and I sort of stuffed up the start. But I mean, that sort of stuff will come as the season comes on and we do more block starts and just more racing. And the 400, I haven't got time yet. It was a really tough race. I was in lane 9. There was no one outside of me, sorry. And we warmed up and it was like a tailwind down the back straight and then a headwind down the front straight, so that's how I set my race up. And then we got down the back straight and it was a headwind, so we had tailwind in the front straight. I did okay. Didn't really have the ping off the 150 that I usually, well, I would want and that I have had in the past. I definitely think that will come with more racing. You know, I was a bit uncertain, not really super confident. But again, that just stuff comes just by racing. So we'll see what the time is, and I have a chat to Russ. I'll send my thoughts through to him, and then we'll just go back to the drawing board for next week. But I do think it's a very good start. Definitely up from last season. I also didn't talk about what the physio said yesterday. So like my hamstring is really sore, like right up in the glute, and also my Achilles has been really stiff all week. And it's just insertional stuff, and it's just like with the injuries I've had, that's what's left over. So just insertional stuff, and you just need to manage it, and you build it up to be a lot stronger. And the reason why these two things have kind of flared up now is because we are lifting the quality of work, so we're trying to move faster, you know, over longer periods. It's not just like graceful loping and fitness stuff. So that's all it is. He's not concerned about it. I've got exercises to do to work on it to get it stronger. Normally I'd have a couple of weeks with the physio, but now I will just have a week to check in on it, and then we'll push it back out again for a couple of weeks. So I'm probably just going to head home now because I'm quite tired and I'm sick and tired of being out in the wind. And yeah. Hey guys, it's the next day now. I got up this morning. I've done a few things. I washed my sheets, did a little bit more recovery because I was pretty stiff this morning. But we finally got a time from last night. It took them actually quite ages to put it up. Like, I think I'd been home, I'd had dinner, was getting ready for bed, and then the time finally went up. So I actually opened my first 400 of the season 1.5 seconds faster than what I did in December last year. So that's really good news. That was basically what Russ and I were looking for, was basically to show that I've made progression since last year. And to be honest with you, I would have been genuinely surprised if it had been about the same or it was slower, because I've had less interrupted preparations. I mean, last year when I ran my first 400 of the season, 6 weeks prior to that, I broke my ankle. I haven't had a broken ankle this year, and I've been able to put a really, big lot of work into the off season, and I've stayed healthy and injury free. So that's a big thing. So we're really, really happy with that. Other than that, it was a really good confidence builder, both for myself and Russell. We know that what we're doing is working. And so now Russ and I have compared notes. We've seen the race footage, you've seen the race footage, and what we're working on now is just a game plan for moving forward, which will mostly focus on getting a little bit stronger and building my confidence, so that the strength and all the work we've done, we can just move onto the track now and see some even faster times. But just before I end this vlog off, I do want to just talk about what it was like competing during COVID. So in the state I live in, Queensland, we currently don't have community transmission. We do have some active cases at this time, but they're all in hospital, and the bulk of those have come from either overseas travellers returning home, so they've been in quarantine, or there was a small outbreak in a detention facility, not like a detention facility on the south side, and they managed to get that under control, but all the cases from that have sort of been contained and whatnot. So that in your general community, we don't have transmission, but we are still continuing to social distance, have limits on the amount of people in enclosed spaces. And I think there's also limits on the number of people who can be in an open area bar, that sort of thing. That may have changed because we've gone so long with our community transmission now that I think they did just change the rules. But look, I don't worry about those things at all. But specifically for athletics, they did do the competition timetable a little bit differently. So what they did was they ran the women's 100 and then went straight to the women's 400. And there was a small break. And then they went back and ran the men's 100 and then the men's 400. And usually what they'd do is they'd sort of go 100s, have a break, 400s. So that was a bit different. The idea behind that was obviously that there wasn't so many athletes crowded into the warm-up area as there usually was. So basically the women were done and dusted for sprint events, and then the men were warming up. And I believe they did the same for the distance events as well. So for the field events, you did have to sanitize your hands before and after a throw or a jump, and then the equipment was also sanitized after use. In the stands, they had blocked out every other row of seating so that you were still sort of 1.5 to 2 meters apart. You were encouraged to only bring people who directly needed to be there. So if you say were someone who brings a bunch of family and friends out to support you while you compete, you were sort of asked to only bring people that directly needed to be there. But if you did bring them, you did have to register them on an official register, and then you were told upon registering that if there was any incidents, that list would go straight to Queensland Health, and those people would be contacted that way. Coaches, for the time being, are not allowed on the field of play, so they have to sort of stay in the grandstands along the lower part where they can chat to their athletes at a distance. And the only other thing that I really noticed was that there's a separate entrance for athletes and supporters. So the athletes just go directly onto the field of play, and that's where you warm up and you stay until you finish competing, whereas supporters had to go in a separate entrance just to kind of keep the two apart. We got an email like outlining the night before, outlining all the rules that we had to adhere to, and then that morning we got a text message from the organising body reminding us all of the rules. And then we got one like about an hour before the event started saying basically like, if you are sick or unwell, or you have been in the last 24 hours, or you have any of these symptoms, please do not attend the event. Please go to a COVID fever clinic and get checked. And yeah, there were security guards at either the athletes or the spectator entrance, and they were basically checking, like, if you were unwell, they were asking you not to enter. My nose was running because it was obviously quite windy, so I was trying to discreetly wipe my nose. But all in all, it was a really good meet. I'm really excited for the season now. As far as I know, that was the last of those meets for now. They're figuring out a way so that school-age kids who would normally be having states at this time can have states, and I think what they've decided is it'll be like all female events one weekend, and then the following weekend it'll be all the male events, which I think is quite ingenious. It's probably tough on coaches because they have to, they have 2 weekends to worry about, and some parents who might have, a son and a daughter, but ultimately it means that they do get somewhat of a school season, so I guess it's better than nothing. They have said that they will name a merit team, which I think is great. It's just basically a merit team is you're told you were in this team. You don't actually get to go and compete for Queensland, but you still get, like, I guess, the honour of being selected, which I guess is all they can kind of do at this point in time. All the school stuff was meant to be held in Victoria in December. That's obviously not going to go ahead, and it's a little unfair on Victorians for all the other states and territories to have a championship and they just cannot be included because they have so many cases and so much community transmission down there. But not only that, I know that when I was in school, if I'd won a national title and it had missed a whole state out of it, it wouldn't feel like a genuine sort of title. So you would know that you potentially only won because of someone else's bad fortune, because they were sort of stuck at home because of COVID. But yeah, so it'll be interesting seeing what's possible moving forward. The really good news out of Victoria is that they have just had a major repeal of some of their restrictions. Their cases do seem to be dipping below 100 on a daily basis, which is really good to see. And look, I know in the grand scheme of things, compared to some other countries, we are in such serious lockdown when, in Victoria, I think their peak was 400 cases a day, and somewhere like America is having tens of thousands of cases a day. So we are really, really lucky. But yeah, it's good to see that things are sort of getting under control down there, because it does mean that we can go back to normal, hopefully sooner rather than later. Yeah, so I don't really have anything more to add to this vlog. It was definitely an experience competing during global pandemic, even if it was just locally. I think that a lot of these practices will be the norm moving forward for a really long time, even once we have a vaccine, because it will take a while for the vaccine to get out into the community. And then of course you'll always have people who won't want to have it or won't be able to take the vaccine. Do you take a vaccine? I guess you have a vaccine, but that's not important, I guess. So yeah, I think that this will be the way we are for a little while. It will be interesting when we sort of do move into, if we are able to move into like state and national championships and international racing, because if they do sort of adopt the model where they do a block of women's events on the track, have a short break, and then do a block of men's events at the track, and they do say to the athletes, you need to leave once you're finished competing, it's going to be very hard. I have like male friends who compete, and I like to support them, and obviously it's a lot easier when like you might be warming up, you can just stop and watch their race. But to be asked to leave and not watch them race at all it's quite hard. Part of the reasons why you do stay in a sport is because you have friends and there's a bit of a community around you, but if you can't watch anyone run, we're gonna have some very empty grandstands. But I imagine how they might get around that is they might just have like an athletes section where they encourage athletes to only hang around and watch people they want to watch and then leave, so that the section doesn't get too full. But I will end the vlog off here. I hope that you've all had a wonderful day, or will have a wonderful day if it's the start of your day. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, get me on that YouTube algorithm, and leave any comments down below for any questions you have, or anything you want to see, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye bye.